No, but basically we went to the bus yard in Jamaica and took a bus.
Oh.
Basically, we called up and said, we're coming to get a bus.
And they have a driver ready for you?
No, we had a cop drive it.
Oh.
As long as he's trained to drive it, he can drive it.
I'm thinking...
so drove into...
Can we do that
it was pretty much like a death... I remember this guy, Tommy, was driving. It was like a death ride. I'd never seen a bus go this fast on the highway. So,
oh, my God.
But the bus was moving. There was a couple of times I really thought we were going to flip. But we ended up getting in Manhattan.
Hang on.
We got
Did you play the Guess Who Bus Rider song at the same time? When you were
no bus riders. We just commandeered a bus. Just took it.
No, I meant the Guess Who song, Bus Rider. Bus Rider, yeah.
Oh, yes. But when we got to Manhattan, the first tower was already down. So basically you couldn't see anything. How can I explain that? The guys from the East up there in Canada, they'll understand. It was like a blizzard. I mean, we could see behind you, but we knew that we knew the tower collapsed. You know that we heard the screaming on the transmissions of the radio.
What about the second?
The first one was down.
Where were you when the
plane
second?
Hit on our way.
On the bus.
Well, while we were driving there, yes, we were on a bus. We had no idea of that. No clue of that.
Oh.
We were getting the radio of saying there was another one. So when we got there, you're looking at a huge cloud of smoke. I mean, you know?
Yeah, we're still here. We're
must have been really scary, man. You guys must have been shitting your pants.
And basically, yeah, we it was very hard to get your bearings because I've been downtown many times, but it didn't look like anything you resembled anything anymore. I mean, it was much of a ghost town as can be, and it was basically everybody for there was like nobody in charge. It was kind of odd for like a city event to be going down like this. I think I made it to like Vesey and West when the tower started to come down. And basically that was the fire department hit an alarm, blast their alarms. And basically you ran. I mean, you ran. It sounded, you ever hear the sound of the metal grates when they pull it across the street when they're doing work? That screeching metal sound? That's what you heard. And you looked up and you saw the top and you just ran because you knew it was coming down.
So that's the second one are you talking about, or the first
second.
One? The
second.
So you were on the ground. You guys all jumped off the bus and you started running towards the first tower that collapsed. How far away were you with Bell?
Maybe about 3 blocks away.
Oh man, were you guys gonna? If it would have fallen,
our whole intention was to get in there and try to get in there and see what we can do.
So if it would have been just another 1 minute later, you would all died.
Pretty much, yeah. Yes. Or if it would have fell over or didn't, we would have been dead. Or we would have been a block and a half closer. And yeah, we would have died.
Oh God, you got so lucky.
So, yeah.
What
afterwards, after everything cleared, walking back in was like walking into I can't describe it, guys. The smell, it looked like from all the dust and the cement debris. It was about an inch to maybe 3 inches of like gray dust over everything.
Did you hide while the dust cloud came at you guys?
Yeah, we dumped ourselves into, I believe it was a subway or something like that. It was some stuff like that.
Just waited until the dust.
You ran, and then you just ran till you found something, to hide in.
How long before you came out? Or was it your whole group?
It was some of us. We were scattered like sticks in the wind. We didn't know where everybody was.
Oh,
honestly, you didn't know if the people you came with were with you or any more.
So nobody that was on the bus made it all the way in, though?
No, we all made it out. So, unless you were in the tower at that time or right below it, you were lucky if you weren't that close.
Wow.
So, and then when went from that day lasted 4 months of nonstop working.
So what happened the rest of that day? What did you guys do?
Well, that day we mustered, which means we grouped. We listened to and basically digging.
Cops, firemen, everybody.
You name it, everybody was there. That day and that
Same
basically,
thing.
You were seeing things you've never seen before. I mean, it was. I can't describe the devastation. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, seeing trucks the size of like 2 feet high, an entire fire truck that was destroyed. And then you would, like I told you, Darren, like I walked the mall a couple of days later underneath, and the music was still playing inside this underground mall.
And it was still on.
It was strange. It was like what
song was playing?
Apocalyptic scene. I mean, a lot of devastation, but then things weren't even, and time stood still. I mean, people left their cars there. They left all their belongings. I mean, there were just cars on the street with the doors open.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
It's like a nightmare you can't wake up from, or like a death in the family. Pretty
much. Like, people always ask me, did you go to the museum? Did you go to the memorial? I said, I relive it, every couple of months. So I don't really need to see a museum. I mean, to be honest, which I totally disagree.
Huh.
To New York making money.
Yeah.
And no, I mean, it was different. I mean,
So how long did you do the bucket brigade before they brought in like real big equipment? How many months? How many hours a day?
Well, if you were like, exception of 9/11 day, you were assigned to dig, because we still had a city to patrol. I mean, there was, people always thought, everybody's ran. No, you still had a city to patrol. I mean, New York City is a very large city. Everybody just can't work in downtown Manhattan.
Right.
So if you were assigned to a digging detail, or you were assigned to a security detail downtown, your day consisted of probably about 13 to 14 hours. What happens, what the NYPD does, is they go into what they see mode. It's 12 on, 12 off. No days off. So work 12 hours on, 12 hours off. And then from 9/11 all the way to like mid-December.
And then you finally got it all out of there?
It took probably about 2 years to get everything out of there.
So they brought in machinery. What did they do for safety?
They were bringing safety?
Yes. Like masks to protect yourself from
Well,
from
this is the whole thing with the masks. And the first day of the dust, basically, we were given surgical masks on 9/11.
Okay.
Basically gave you a dust mask to wear. And I told Darren this, and then what got me was every time we would go down there. Now, say like I went down there the 11th and the 12th, then I didn't go back until say like the 15th. And when you went down there on like say September 15th, they were, okay, guys, you're gonna dig. Go get a mask, and they would give us a respirator, like a single cartridge, mask. Okay. And you'd work down there for 15 hours or so, leave, and you'd come back like about 5 days later with the mask that they handed you 5 days ago, and tell you, oh no, that mask is no good. Go get another one. You need an updated one. You need a better one.
Because they were figuring out how much crap was probably in that.
Yeah,
dust.
there was so much walking around with these meters and telling us everything was fine, which now we know was a lie. You know that about it.
Everything's fine. Use a mask now.
Yeah, which we know is a lie. A lot of our guys have firemen, even a lot of people who just lived down there, or ended up getting these unexplained cancers and dying. Right? Yeah, it's one of them things where where the the Senate just passed it again. I mean, because they can't explain why people are just dying. 10 years later, 11 years later, just getting unexplained cancers and dying.
How many friends do you have that have died since then?
I've known about 4 people have died since then.
Personally?
2 years ago, yeah, I went to a friend of mine, his funeral in New York. He was on vacation in Las Vegas. Young guy, 40, maybe 42 years old, 43. Ended up getting asthma later on after 9/11. Actually, had a doctor. It was caused by that. Was down in Ground Zero and he had a massive asthma attack while on vacation and died.
Are you nervous about your health because of that?
You notice, Darren, people always ask, what would you do if it happened again? I would do it again. I mean, I look at it this way. I think everybody has their time, meaning that everybody has a time in their life where they have to step up, whether it's with your family. Everybody has a moment in their life where they have to do something. And I'm not saying I'm not going to sit there and become like, oh, I'm so patriotic. No, I mean, I just think it was for society, for manhood, for people. And you needed to step up and do your part. And I think everybody has that time in their life when they need to step up and do their part.
And you knew it was your time.
And whether it was your time or not, this was the time you needed to step up. You needed to be at your best, and you needed to put yourself second. And listen, people always ask me, what was the best time of your life? And I tell them was working at Ground Zero. They're like, how can you say that? And I say, because I seen the best of humanity at Ground Zero. It was a horrible people, but seeing the true variety, I can say, where I mean, if you're in uniform, whether you're Red Cross, whether you were black, whether you were white, no matter what you were, what your religion, nobody cared. We all had the same mission in life. Our goal was to see if we can help, see if we can save someone. No one was like, hey, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do. No, it was all just, let's get it done. It wasn't a Republican, Democrat thing. It wasn't any of this. It was all, we got a job to do, we got to do it. And it was basically what it was. I mean, I remember one time I was on a bucket line, and it was like a construction worker, and he was like, he said something, and then they turned and he saw me, and of course I'm wearing something that represents the NYPD, and he's like, oh, I'm sorry, officer, I didn't mean to say that. Here it is. They
would buy you lunch and everything when you were going around?
No, I mean, I've seen the best of humanity then. I mean, guys, it's a strange thing to say. Just at my best, and I've seen people at that.
Unfortunately.
It was, and what I see now makes me sad, but
yeah.
But it was very supportive. I mean, it was sad. I mean, the victims' families were sad. I mean, I told you the story that they would hand us photos if they knew we were digging. Return, had to throw the photo in a garbage can. I mean, it was.
They would give you a bunch of stuff, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they would. They knew you were in the digging detail, and then if you ended up getting to do a security post at the family center they set up, it was. I personally lost a couple of NYPD guys that associates of mine, but I didn't lose a father, a mother, a son. I mean, to look into a parent's face that lost their child. I mean, and I still say child. I mean, they were adults, but. I mean, these people are working in an office building. I mean, they did nothing to anyone, honestly. I mean, what did they honestly do? And like, I can understand certain people's hostility toward the police. I get it. I understand that. But what did, a guy working in a bank, what did a girl working at Windows on the Wall waitress do?
Yeah.
To ever insult anybody and make them hate. So that's why I think it was everybody stood together. It was a tough time, but it was a good time. It was a time where everybody was together.
You could almost write a book.
I like I said, my wife's uncle is a writer, and we've spoke many times about it. He wants to do We'll do something about it. It's like, okay, whenever you're ready.
So when you went in there to dig, you guys called it the pig, right?
Well, it was called the pit. We just called it the pit.
The pit?
Pit. Yeah, it was pit. Like the term ground zero didn't come up till later on. I mean, we didn't call it that. We just
how long before you were working at the dump, going through the stuff again?
Oh no, the dump. I'll never forget the first day at the dump. Okay. How long? What they did, guys, is they took a lot of the debris from ground zero and brought it to Staten Island, which is an island off of Manhattan, which is like a suburb. There's Saturday Night Fever, the Verrazano Bridge. It's just a real, it's a borough. It's a borough of New York City. It's called Staten Island. They had an old landfill there, and said the landfill is Fresh Kills.
Ugh. How ironic.
Okay, this was a trip. So they send us up to Fresh Kills. So for first day I go there, with this really good guy. I worked with Donnie. Funny guy, actually played football for the Seminoles. And we go up there, and basically they put us in these big Army Corps of Engineer tents. All right, so they're like, all right, guys, you're going to work what they call a conveyor belt. Like, okay, and I've never done this before. I'm, cop. I don't know what I'm doing. Basically, they suit us up in this Vortex suit. You have to tape your arms and tape your knee. Have to tape your ankles shut. I'm like, what? Like a biohazard suit. I'm like, all right. Then they put on this whole big full face mask and they blow smoke in it to see if it leaks. So it basically looked like people are working a nuclear power plant. Okay. So our ankles are taped. They put us in this whole rubber suit. And they put us on this machine. I described it to you, Darren. It's got to be about 25 yards long. And it's a big shaking machine where a big bulldozer will come and dump a big thing of muck into this machine. Basically, they gave us a quick, hour course on how to work on this machine and what a black box looks like. Okay.
Because they haven't found it. And wait, what month? How long ago was this after?
This was February. I remember it was the first day they lit the two the lights where the towers were. It was the night they lit the lights. So here we are. Okay, make a long story short, they put us up on this machine. Now it's mine and my partner Donnie's first day there. Now there have been people that have been working there for months, and I can see them in their face. They're
gone.
They don't want to be there. They're spent. Now, this machine is humongous. I mean, I'd say it's humongous. You have to walk up like a flight of stairs to the top, and it's like a catwalk on both sides. And there's probably about 10 guys on one side, 10 guys on the other side. And here comes a big bulldozer. They dump this muck, and it just starts shaking all the dirt. So basically, you're digging through garbage, debris, shoes, crap, pieces of phones, whatever was in the building in this big muck.
I bet it didn't smell very good.
It smelled like a terrible dump. Also, where Fresh Kills was is where they brought locals. So you had like the graveyard of police cars, fire trucks, ambulances. Some good, some crushed, and civilian cars. I mean, just huge lot of just destroyed vehicles. So basically, we're on this machine. We've been on it for about an hour. And I noticed a lot of shoes. Just shoes. I guess people just ran out of their shoes. So the thing's going for a while. I see like a Timberland work boot. So I pick it up. And I picked up a few more shoes prior to that. And you basically dump the dirt out because it's just like mud and muck. You dump it out and see if there's anything in there. So there's about
What happened?
Dump it out, and I can see the shad bone of a. It's dirty. It's black, but you can see it's a bone. It's like a busted calf bone. So I'm like, oh
Which
shit.
is kind of what you were looking for, wasn't it?
Yeah, you are looking for body parts too. So there's a button on the machine. You run over, you hit the button, it stops the conveyor belt. So I tell the boss, we had like a lieutenant or a sergeant up there. I tell him, listen, I found something. So I walk over. They give me a spackle bucket. I put the shoe and the remainder of the foot in the bucket. And I see everybody looking at me like, you fucking dick. Right? Like, they're all just, no one's like, great job. No, great. No, they're all like, what the f. So basically,
You guys found a foot.
so all of a sudden
Good
now
for you.
I'm standing there. And I'm like, okay, thinking I did a great job. You know, I'm going to solve someone's missing family member. And next thing I know is they stop the machine. Somebody that works at the landfill comes over, opens up the big part of it with it's hydraulic. It opens. There's a ladder, like a metal ladder that goes down into this muck, which is like, now it's February in New York, so it's freezing. And it was filled like maybe up to maybe like almost to your knee in like this mucky, muddy water. And they give me and my partner like 2 clamming rakes. The rakes that you use to clam. You pull clams. I don't know if they do it. They do it on the East Coast, clamming rake.
I know what they look. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're down there looking for the rest of the person. In ankle-deep water. I mean, knee-deep water and mud, digging. And I'm like, I turn to my partner. I go, this has got to be the worst day of my fucking life. I go, it's cold. I'm tired. And I'm in a mud, cold, freezing mud looking for a dead body.
Oh, God.
So
did you find anything else?
No, we found nothing else. But after that, they tell me, bring the bucket to the ME's office. So I bring it to the ME's office, which is a tent. I walk in there. There's some, military medical examiners, New York City medical examiner's office. I bring the bucket over. I look at it, give it to the medical examiner technician. He says, okay, just put it over there. And I look along the wall. There's about 25, 30 buckets. So I put it down. I'm like, do I need to sign anything? They're like, no. They're like, go get lunch.
Oh my!
Go get lunch.
So did you?
I bet you weren't too hungry after that.
No, you know what is down? I've seen many dead bodies in my career. I just was like, after being down at Ground Zero, after dealing with all of that, my son was born. I didn't get to see, basically got like maybe 3 days off. My son was born after I begged for it. And you were just so burnt out. I mean, you were a hell of a person. You were burnt. I mean, physically, mentally burnt. That I was just like, can it get any worse than this? I mean, how bad can it get? I mean, I'm in a knee-deep of water, muddy, disgusting water, looking for the remains of someone. I'm like, this has got to be the worst. It can't get any worse than this. I remember I'm like, I think this is the worst day of our career. It's like, don't get any worse than this.
Oh, God.
It kind of reminds me of the shoes washing up on the shore in Vancouver with people's feet actually in the shoes. They don't know where it comes from. They don't know where it comes from.
Yeah, no, it's weird. I also was digging at Ground Zero.
John,
we found a girl.
Hang on. Save it for after the break. We're at the top of the hour, I think. And,
no problem.
Yeah. We're going to do a little break here, and you can have your potty break or whatever you want to do. Rock and roll with the Wolfman. Right on. Yeah.
Only who made good cookies.
right now.
Who all do we got on?
Just you and the guest. Hold on a second. I was trying to play another song, and I didn't want that playing. Yeah, Marcus is there. He can call in if he wants. Yeah, join us if you want, Marcus. So
he's another one of our panel.
Okay, no problem.
So
now feel free, guys. I mean, I'll jump into any conversation. I mean,
no, yeah, I want to finish up how long you had to work at the dump.
I was at the dump only a couple of times. Like they rotated people in and out.
Nobody probably wanted to go out there, huh?
After a while, they were like, people were just upset. They didn't want to be there anymore.
And those people that were working there for months?
There was a group there that were there for months, yeah. Mostly like your squad detectives there for months.
Can you imagine?
And they were miserable.
I wonder what they saw. Did you ever hear of things they found there? What did they find? Anything unusual or?
Darren, I imagine you know what it was? It was to the point where this was like February, so pretty much anything was decayed and it was just gone.
What about like gold bars or something weird?
They found all the gold down at ground zero, but
So you only had to do that a couple times. Thank goodness.
I only did it twice. Yeah.
How long before things started getting back to normal?
Actually, it was kind of funny. I remember working one time. We were riding around, and this is when I was in the gun unit. I remember my partner at the time. He's like, I can't wait for the stuff to go back to being normal. Everybody hates us again. See, I mean, we're not firemen, guys. So it was odd for people to tell us they love us. It was odd for people running up and thanking us and hugging us. I mean, because listen, I remember when I was a rookie cop, my training sergeant said, if you wanted to be loved, you're on the wrong job. So,
right.
You know, it was, you know, I mean, people support you and say they like you, but you know what, dude? I mean, let's face it, guys, that wasn't always their job. Nobody likes getting stopped by the fucking police. Who the hell? I don't like it now.
Yeah.
You know, listen, you're driving a little fast and the guy pulls you the fuck over. You're like, you son of a... It's true. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, no. Listen, if I was a young guy, I was a teenager, I'd be drinking down at the lake, doing whatever we're doing. Police would come.
Hang on.
Take our shit.
I'm pulling you guys over.
You know, take our beer, take our crap, and
registration,
walk.
Please.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I did my bad shit. I mean, but, you know, listen, I remember running through the woods from the cops. I remember one time my friends decided they were going to steal a bunch of snowmobiles, and we got chased by the cops.
So how much longer were you in the force? Did people start hating you again?
I'd say hating. I'd say they started like things went back to normal probably like 2003, late 2002.
And where did you go after the guns? Did you go into a different?
Yeah, and then that's when I went to detective squad. Meaning where I had to put on a shirt and tie every day and be a real investigator, not a street detective.
Really? What did you investigate? Any good
robberies? I was a robbery detective. Yeah, no, that was a very good unit to be in. I learned how to be an investigator, like a real investigator.
In order to investigate a robbery, you sort of have to put yourself in the frame of mind of the person robbing the place, right?
Yeah, that too. I mean, you know, basically when I was in, it was called a RAM. It was robbery apprehension unit, and basically I did robberies and burglaries. Burglaries are a pain in the ass. They're never solved. All you do is try to get a DNA hit, and it would never solve a burglary. It's impossible.
Never?
But it's very, very odd. It's very hard. Basically, you got to get the DNA hits, and then you can do something with it. It's hard. The robberies I like because, you know why I like being a robbery detective? Because a lot of our robberies, I'm not talking about the violent ones. I'm talking, I enjoyed arresting people for robberies that robbed weaker people than themselves. Meaning, one time I had a girl who was deaf that got robbed. And that was one of my best robbery arrests. And we ended up getting the guy who robbed her. Sweet girl, really, really sweet girl. She was deaf. I actually I got a sign language translator to do the interview and a sign language translator for the trial. And I was very glad that I put this piece of shit away for robbing this poor girl who was deaf. You know, that guy is a real piece of shit. So, you know, that's favorite of all my arrests.
Okay, like on this show, when there's a piece of shit like that, we bonk them. Okay?
Bonk them.
We're bonking that fucker.
Yeah, good. So, I mean, like, it was to the point where, like, you know, and also, like, you would get, like, young, like, teenagers get robbed. And a lot of them were, how can I explain it? Like, not the bad guys, not the tough guys in the neighborhood. No, mind you, it's a pretty rough neighborhood, but, you know, you had your nerdier crew. And these are the guys, and they would try to act like they, you know, tough, and when I would interview them and stuff. And, you know, I enjoyed getting the person that, you know, strong-armed this poor, you know, nerdy kid.
Yeah.
Just because he, you know, wasn't a punk like that, you know. So I enjoyed that.
How did you get most of them? Through other people giving up information, or?
You know what it is, Darren? It's when you were a street cop in an area, you just knew the area, and you knew the way people did things, and you work it. I mean, a lot of them were like we would get a pattern robbery where, say you had a crew of people robbing like Dunkin' Donuts.
Okay.
You'd run some video, and you're just out there. You're just out there. Sometimes patrol would grab them. You know, it's just you just gotta be there. And it'd be basically like when you go to the squad. There's when you go to the detective squad. In New York City, there's two groups up there. There's a squad which handles everything from domestic violence to homicides. You know, they handle every complaint that comes into the place. Then you have the ranks, which is me, usually younger detectives, and we basically handle robberies and burglaries. And we're more like the hands-on, in-the-street type squad guys.
How many robberies happen I mean, it's a much bigger city.
Honestly, I would investigate in my precinct. I would do a caseload of probably about 90 a year.
Wow.
And I'm one detective. We'd have about 300.
Good.
300 to 400. And basically, you wouldn't solve them all, but you'd work your case, you do what you had to do. I mean, basically, you know, it's just, you know, knowing the area, trying to put patterns together, and
you would usually have to go to court, of course, with all
of course. Oh, the robbery arrest, you always end up in court. Always end up in court. A lot of it's solely on the complainant, because the complainant basically looks at pictures and views things, and, you know, then it was lineups. And
how would lineups work?
Lineups work.
Where do you find the people?
In a homeless shelter. We would go to the shelters, and it's kind of funny. I mean, you'd roll up. Basically, you would go down to a patrol and take a police van. So now you'd have myself and a partner. We'd roll up in front of the shelter, and he's got anywhere from $20 for a robbery, $50 for a homicide lineup. So, you basically had to get somewhat people that look similar, and you'd roll up to the homeless shelter. I remember the shelter in Brooklyn. We'd roll up to the shelter, and the guys would run at the van, pick me, and they'd have little big razors. They would actually shave.
Clean themselves up.
Yeah, if the guy was clean shaven, yes. And I remember one time I had, like I said, I worked in a mostly African-American neighborhood, and one time I had this Puerto Rican guy come running up to the car. He's like, yo, man, I'm good. I'm showing him a picture of a gentleman who's very African-American. And I'm like, sorry, man, I can't use you. He's like, I look just like that guy. I'm like, no, sorry, brother, but you don't.
Did you have to get good, clean clothes for him?
No, they were doing it in their clothes. Basically, they stand there with a number, and they have to wear a baseball hat with a number on it and a number card in front of them.
How often would they do it? Would you get the same people every time?
I had a couple of repeat guys, you know. And when I would tell them it's a robbery, they'd be like, oh, you know, it's $20, you know. So
it would work
them all night. $50 for homicide.
For them.
Yeah, it was a job for them. It was a job for me too. Now, number one, you know, you have the arrest. Now you're rock and roll. This is going to take 18, 19 hours to get this rest processed. So,
oh my goodness!
Pretty much, when you get to the lineup, it's the person, they know who did it. So when you get to the lineup, it's good.
What are some of the reactions the people have had in the lineup? Because they say
I've had people cry, and I've had people get mad and start screaming through the glass, like that motherfucker right there.
You're not supposed to do that, though, do you?
Take it easy. I'll never forget one time. Every lineup consists of this. You have to have the complainant, the arresting detective, a sergeant or a lieutenant to supervise the lineup, and a district attorney. And I remember one time I made an arrest, and I had made the arrest, and I had to do a lineup. So my bosses, because when you're a detective, you're not considered like a squad on their own, and the bosses might be off. So we didn't have a call for a sergeant of another detective squad to come over. Now this guy was like 3 that day, because there's a lot of drinking involved in detective work. So this guy shows up, he's fucking. So I'm like, all right. Now it was late, like 1 o'clock in the morning, and you have to trap locked down because they're sleeping. You can't go in there. Okay. So I had 3 African American police officers dressed down, sitting in the lineup. Cops that work downstairs. I asked them to do the lineup. So they come upstairs, they get off patrol for a while, and they got a kick out of it, right? So here comes this sergeant, old-time Irish sergeant. And I got the lineup there. And now mind you, the lineup is like 6 people. So 4 of them are cops. 1 is the perpetrator, and the other one is just a guy who I grabbed off the street to do the lineup. Right? So the sergeant comes in, he's like, I've been doing this for 40 years. I'm like, the whole time he's like, it's definitely number 3. I'm like, that's a cop. He's like, that guy's a cop, dude. No, they're in the glass, behind in the room in the glass. Well, I'm sitting behind the curtain with the sergeant, getting ready for the district attorney to come and getting ready to bring the complainant in. So he views the lineup before I bring everybody in, the sergeant, make sure he likes it or whatever, it's done right. So he goes, I've been doing this for like 30, 40 years. He goes, it's definitely number 2. I'm like, no, that's a cop. He goes, like I said, it's definitely that perp, number 2. Being a dick, saying he's a bad, whatever. I was like, okay.
Did you have him shut up by the time the DA got there?
Yeah. I was like, this motherfucker. The DA looked at him like he's stoned, dude. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Oh, man.
But I also listen. I've been in court where the DA tells me, listen, don't come back drunk. DAs are very young girls. They're very young. They're fresh out of law school. Some of them are very pretty. They just, you can tell. You can tell like the good ones, and then you got the rookie ones.
How do you think
I've been on trials.
How do you think
the district attorney? I'm looking like you need to object this.
How'd they get their positions to be DAs?
Well, they graduate from law school, and then they get a job with the city of New York.
That's
basically a very good defense attorney starts their career as a prosecutor. I mean, honestly, if you need a defense attorney, definitely get a guy who was a prosecutor. Just understand how the system works. I mean, listen, I advise if it gets stopped by the cops, don't say anything.
Don't pull on the machine.
I will promise you the world.
Darren,
I will be your best friend. I will buy you McDonald's. I'll give you a Snicker bar. I will do anything you want.
Darren,
I will be your best friend.
Have you ever had to go to jail?
Me? No.
No.
I'm saying if you ever get stopped, don't say.
No, he's saying me. He's asking if I've ever gone to jail.
I was asking Darren.
Well, have you?
Yes, for drinking and driving.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you a little quick thing about the DWI thing. I don't know how it works up there. I told this to Darren. Never blow into that machine. Because right then you just admitted guilt. Once you blow into that machine,
I didn't.
You're done.
I refused.
Okay. Well, you did the right thing.
Yeah, but they get you for the same charge here. It's
they will hit you for the same charge everywhere else. But you do have your day in court.
Right? Yeah. So it's called, here in Canada, it's called failure to blow, and it's the same penalty. So if you don't blow in it, you still get nailed with the same penalty.
Yeah, no, same thing here in the States. But you do have your day in court, meaning that, listen, there's a little friendly advice. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say I never had a few pops and drove my car. But I don't recommend you do it. But if you do, you blow into that machine, because once you blow into the machine, you're pretty much guilty. I mean, there's no way to get around it. I mean, they got the numbers, they got the reading, you're done. What I told Darren is, I'm not telling you to go out there and be a drunk driver, but if you do have a couple of beers and you're like, whatever, is you always have your day in court. You could say, listen, I was on cough medicine. I was, I wasn't drunk, but I was, I had the flu and I took some, NyQuil or whatever. Just
at least you have a chance.
It depends on the judge. It depends on the jury. So listen, I'm not drunk. I was on medication.
Actually,
am I guilty of driving? Yeah, but I wasn't drunk.
I told them that I have a asthma problem and I can't blow in that fucking thing.
Yeah.
And
I'm saying is everybody told
the cops tell me blow in there. I said, oh man, why don't you blow on this?
Once you're done. I mean, once you blow into that machine, you're finished. I mean, there's no way to get around it. But basically, what I told Darren, I told a lot of people is basically, I'm not telling you to drink and drive, because one, it's dangerous. Two, you can hurt somebody. But if you ever get stopped, don't blow into the machine. Always get some kind of medication and say, something. Even if you don't take it, if you say, listen, I got to have a couple of drinks to relax, have some type of medication, from a doctor. Now, I mean, I look at it like I take blood pressure medication. It says can make you drowsy. I mean, if I ever got stopped, I'd be like, listen, I'm not drunk. I'm on this type of medication right here. That's why you thought I was drunk.
So John, so you did the after the lineups and after you did robbery, did you retire?
No, that's when I got hurt.
You were on robbery when you got hurt. Can you tell the story about when you got hurt? That's a great story.
Not a problem. When I got injured, which pretty much I had a shoulder injury prior to my shoulder return playing football. Really what happened was me and my partner were out. We were interviewing somebody for a robbery, a home invasion robbery. And we were on the border of our area, and the precinct next to ours was in a chase for a carjacking. So they're putting over a description of a guy for a carjack, and where they were chasing him, we were literally right down the road from it. So I'm like, wow, they're pretty close. They were like, putting over the description of the guy and chasing. You can hear on the radio. I'm like, we're like right around the block. So we tell the lady, we'll be right back. We jump in our, it's an unmarked police car. We whip around the corner. And with that, I see the guy go from one backyard, runs out of the front yard and runs into a backyard. I'm like, that's got to be the fucking dude right there. So my partner's driving. I jump out of the car. I'm like, go around. There's like a common driveway. You guys like strip housing.